In the old days, if you wanted to become rich, seriously rich, in the space of just a few minutes, the choices were somewhat limited. You could trust to luck and win the jackpot in the lottery. Or you could get straight to the point and head for the bank. But that was a lot riskier. And then a new job came along, the trader. Great work, and all you needed was to shout and scream. Or to make some weird signs with your hands to become a millionaire. But then something came along to ruin it all. 2008, and our friends the traders have been a little greedy and sold toxic products to the entire world. The banks have a huge hangover, their coffers are empty, and Lehman Brothers shuts up shop. Being a trader was no longer the thing, so the world of finance decided to have fun a different way. How exactly? By replacing traders with robots that can operate up to 1 million times faster than humans and can sell thousands of shares every few milliseconds. And start earning big money again. That's it, and may the fastest win. Fabulous. In fact, the technology is so powerful that the stock market police are totally incapable of keeping up. This is science fiction, you're thinking, but no, it's not. Say hello to your new banker.
Why do you have driverless metros in Paris? Because it's safer. Computers tend to make less errors than humans.
The trouble is that the robots clear the humans out of the trading floors. At a certain point, the humans lose control, and it can definitely be seen in the markets. Once the robots have been released, it can't see it's heading straight for a brick wall.
You can't read anything about high-frequency trading or trading today without the word latency.
From the time I started talking 5 seconds ago, there have been 5,000 transactions. It's all out of proportions. In this business, the worst is considered standard. The stock market isn't a video game, or at least it shouldn't be. Don't you think the market resembles the Wild West? I'm not sure the market today is... I think the market today is more... No, hang on, I need to rethink that one. It's an interesting question. Not just interesting, essential. What is the market today? If, like us, you still thought the market was full of frenzied traders, you'd be wrong. The world of finance is undergoing a revolution. It happens far from the cameras, as unobtrusive as it is fearsome. The machines are simply taking over from humans. Powerful, silent computer servers, known too politely maybe as robot traders. In the making of the documentary, it was far from easy to enter the technologically shifting world of finance. Perseverance, though, unveiled a new world without controls, a jungle. And don't go thinking this does not concern you. The robots, speculating so fast their shadows can't keep pace, can do major damage to the real economy. What the robots do is to place orders in the order book. They'll say, I, a robot, want to buy so many shares at such a price under these conditions. I only want them at this price, and this is how many I want. What differs from what we had before is that they make a lot more orders and at a much higher frequency, which explains its name, than was ever thought possible. It's a matter of microseconds. A reminder, 1 microsecond is 1/1,000,000th of a second. Suffice to say that a flapping wing in finance is an eternity. Welcome to the era of high-speed transactions, high-frequency trading.
Trading haute fréquence.
High-frequency trading is the ability to use technological superiority to overtake the competition. And in the world financial markets, if you can move faster than the others, you'll get the best prices and the best sales. The race is about technology and IT. It's like an arms race. There are some who are in the 10,000th of a second range. They're at a disadvantage. A thousandth of a second, obviously you will miss the entire battle. Even if it was a thousandth of a second, humans are on the way out. In this field, they no longer have a role to play. Even the super traders don't come up to scratch. Robots beating the humans and taking over the stock markets. It's beyond Frankenstein. It's Matrix. They're too smart. Men are out of their depth, and anyone who comes here will get shredded. And most shredding takes place in the USA. In the United States, more than 2/3 of all trades are placed by standalone computers. On Wall Street, the high-frequency trading firms made €3,700,000 in profit last year, as much as an entire ministry's budget in a European government. Playing the high-frequency stock market is now the new passion for financiers. The amounts of money are colossal. Machines speculate and the humans cash in. Manoj Narang is a star in this world. In the United States, he's somehow become the mouthpiece for the robot traders, appearing before Senate committees broadcast on TV. He says high-frequency trading is the future. The guru of speed trading has his offices in a chic suburb of New Jersey. He agrees to be interviewed, but it's mainly to praise the virtues of robot trading.
We live in the age of technology. We live in the age of computers. Computers now do surgery on people. Okay? Forget about your life savings. This is your life we're talking about. When doctors and surgeons operate on you, this sort of thing is happening all the time.
One can understand the health aspects. But as far as the real economy, there are some doubts. No company has an interest in seeing their shares bought and sold in just milliseconds. It might, in fact, lead to a catastrophe. Because, you know, it's the market that sets the rules. And when operating properly, companies can find investment, growth. But when it derails, it can put thousands of people out of work and destroy whole sections of the economy. As almost happened on May the 6th, 2010. What is happening in the financial markets? It appears nothing can stop the speculation. This was the day that, for the first time in history, man lost control of the machines. Once again, markets are caught up in a spiral of nervousness after a disastrous session aggravated by possible trader error. At first, nobody understands what's happened, but Wall Street will never forget May the 6th, 2010. At precisely 2:42 p.m. and 44 seconds, Wall Street seems to come apart, but following a never-before-seen pattern and at a breakneck speed. The stock exchange and the financial columnists crack, faced with a new kind of crash.
Don't touch the TV, but also don't touch your telephone and call your broker.
The market suddenly seems to collapse. In a blink of an eye, the Dow Jones registers a 10% drop. Total panic.
That we looked, I was like, wow, what was that? CNBC is saying, it's, capitulation, the market's falling apart.
I mean, it is classic capitulation. There is fear in this market. You can take a look.
In just a few minutes, all the listed companies turn red. This had never happened before. The exchange had become unhooked, with shares dropping from $45 to almost zero in a very short time. There have been many stock market crashes over the years, but this one's different. There's something obviously wrong. It all happened too quickly. Looks like a bug. They say it's a bug. There's something wrong.
My first reaction was that some horrible news had come out of Greece.
The Greek crisis, of course. At first glance, it seems logical.
How how an incident like what's happening in Greece and the austerity measures that the parliament agreed to today give our viewers a sense of how this, in fact, causes a ripple effect around the world?
There were riots in Athens, and 3 people were killed in a fire at a bank. That was a dramatic situation on the political front and financial drama too, so the conditions were ripe for a crash. But no, the shockwave doesn't come from Greece, or even a flesh-and-bone trader who maybe pressed the wrong button. For the first time in the history of finance, it's a robot trader, a huge computer like this one, that has derailed the system. It belongs to Waddle & Reed, a US pension fund. A robot is instructed to sell a huge amount, $4 billion worth, say, in a very short time. Obviously, it completely destabilizes the market.
Somebody sold about 3,000 futures contracts in a way to just, didn't care about them, just sold them as fast as they could possibly sell them.
Presumably, a human would have reacted differently. He wouldn't have sold everything at once and would have seen what it was doing to the market. But a robot, it was programmed to do it, and it did it. The US pension fund's robot trader is not alone in destabilizing the market. Don't forget, 2/3 of orders placed on the stock exchange in the United States are made by robot traders. Well, all the other robots at hundreds of other high-frequency trading firms panicked that day, like humans, but much, much faster. They all sold off in bulk. It was an instant epidemic.
On est tombé dans le
We were in full
complet.
Frankenstein mode. The creature escapes from its creator. The computers revved up and dealt with monstrous volumes, impacting on the value of companies without anyone able to intervene. By now, it's only the computers that can do the deals. Those who do high-frequency trading see prices are collapsing, and they'll participate in the panic, but not by managing it hour by hour, but microsecond by microsecond.
The high-frequency traders are the ones that cause the high quote rates. So they weren't intentionally trying to cause trouble. It's just that it's like spam overwhelming the email systems.
The debacle of May the 6th lasts just 14 minutes, fortunately. Hence the nickname of a new type of market collapse, the flash crash. It's the Chicago exchange that stops the collapse by suspending business for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I've never seen them pause it until this day, which tells, I mean, this is how unique it was, how nobody wanted to buy it. But when it came off of that pause, it was as if the world had changed. It was as if whoever was, wanted this market to go lower, it was a signal, okay, that's enough. That's the best we're gonna do. Let's turn around and bring it back.
After the break, in fact, everything gets underway again, as if nothing ever happened. Or almost. There were those who had been very scared indeed. This was about companies that sell real products, the real economy, as they say. That day, the 127,000 employees of industrial giant Procter & Gamble could have found themselves on the dole.
It just went down 35%. Boom.
Procter & Gamble make, among other things, Ariel detergents, Pampers diapers, Gillette razors. The crash of May the 6th nearly wiped the smile off the face of the blonde who features in their commercials. In just a few minutes, Procter & Gamble shares lose half their value. What might the consequences have been if it had gone on longer? The multinational might have been forced to its knees, with its factories closed for no good reason at all. When the Procter & Gamble stock price falls to 10 cents, it in no way reflects the economic reality of the company. Between the morning and evening of May the 6th, nothing happened at Procter & Gamble which would have justified the change of its stock price. Which is precisely why it's dangerous to leave robots alone to play traders in the stock market. Those who lost their shirts in the first flash crash in history are traditional investors, very human investors. 150 million euros went up in smoke in 14 minutes. They demand the US stock market watchdog, the SEC, provide an explanation. The SEC promises to investigate, but as you'll see, it virtually buries the case instead. It produces a 104-page report in which it blames no one, not even Waddle and Reed, the company that triggered the flash crash. It simply notes a perfect example of waffle. Automated execution programs and algorithmic trading strategies resulted in disorderly markets. Algorithmic trading is SEC jargon for robot traders. The formula has the merit of not offending anyone. It would be a shame to undermine high-speed speculation. They tried to reassure the market. Their role was to say that it had nothing to do with high-frequency trading, which is how the SEC, instead of shedding light on the crash, helps pass off the speed traders as the victims.
There's been a lot of scapegoating in the press, and the authorities who have looked at this episode have concluded that high-frequency trading had little or anything to do with what occurred.
When there are no real technical arguments, it's best to play the victim, because the victim still attracts some sympathy. But to me, victims who earn billions a year off the backs of small investors who get nothing, I'm not sure of who the victim is. Or rather, I have a relatively clear idea of who the real victim is. Now there is a before and after May the 6th, 2010, as a result of the flash crash in New York. This is the first time that the general public hears about high-frequency trading, the first time it discovers machines have taken over the markets. It's enough to disturb the siestas of New Yorkers. But you know what? In France, too, lightning could strike the stock market. In Paris, a third of transactions are already being made by these high-frequency traders, who are the biggest players in the French financial market. And to satisfy them, the Paris Bourse has even moved, having sent all of its servers to England. To Basildon, in the suburbs of London. And this is what the new Paris Bourse looks like. A huge warehouse of 5,000 square meters, a sort of blockhouse. No sign of the entrance, but the site is under constant guard. As soon as we arrive, we're asked to leave. The Paris Stock Exchange came here to attract the speed traders. The Paris Bourse has relocated to London because its biggest customers, high-frequency traders, are almost all based in England. Geographical proximity is paramount. The closer one is to the financial nerve center, the faster transaction orders pass through digital cables. Don't forget, every millisecond counts. Time is money. Since 2010, the French Stock Exchange houses all its speed trading customers in its bunker. Each is connected to the central server via cable of the same distance to prove there's no favoritism. It's called co-location. But shh, it's a secret. Euronext, the company that manages the Paris Bourse, hates to talk about it. The more the investigation advances, the more we run into a brick wall of silence. The first time we asked for an interview with Euronext, we were told that we neither want to comment nor associate our image to your investigation. It's rare to get such a frank response. Still, we insisted, and they finally agreed to talk at their monitoring center in Paris. And right from the outset, they seem a little tense. And to make it clearer, don't hesitate to start over. The coach, the little voice in the background, is the press secretary. In general, one is enough, but here there are two. Not a good sign, that. Our interviewee is being controlled. Hello. Welcome to NYSE Euronext. Thank you. So first question, what does Euronext think of high-frequency traders? We deal in markets that are electronic and have been developed by... No, let's stop there. It would have been better to ask about what he thought of the chairs, the number of phones, or whether his ring is solid silver. Because high-frequency trading is obviously a bit tricky. We don't talk much about high-frequency trading. We don't want this to be interpreted Well, we persevere. Of all the incidents on the markets, what does high-frequency trading account for? It's minimal. We can remind you it's minimal. Is the man a ventriloquist? No, wait, it's the press officer again. Seriously, we have one last question that we'd like Fabrice Perez to answer clearly. Could a flash crash happen here?
A flash
crash, such as the one in the United States, cannot happen here because we have set up circuit breakers, which are devices that allow you to stop the listing of a financial instrument in case of high volatility. That's a relief. Nothing serious can happen then. Cross my heart, safety procedures are draconian. And when the prices start yo-yoing, Euronext cuts the circuit and suspends the listing, no more volatility, and no crash flash. Sorry, but we have evidence of just the opposite. At any time, your savings invested in shares could disappear in a puff of smoke. That statement is from no less an organization than the AMF, the French Stock Market Authority. At any moment, there could be a flash crash in Paris or London. It's quite possible. Everyone has in mind a flash crash in the US, but you know that in France, we had a few small flash crashes on certain shares last year. Not the same day as the United States. There were mini flash crashes, so it is a real risk. Ever heard of mini flash crashes? No? Well, here's a good example. In August, the Paris market, here in blue, suffers a big fall. That fall was a drop of 3% in just a few seconds. This type of air pocket, is that a mini flash crash? Yes, you could call it that. It's not very common. And they last a very short time. It may not last long, but it can create a disaster. Going from 0 to 100 and back again could cost a lot of people the shirts off their backs. And you could also make improper profits. If we told investors that the market could drop from 100 to 0 in just a second, it wouldn't be very reassuring. It's actually downright disturbing. Remember that on the Paris Bourse, 1/3 of transactions are carried out by high-frequency traders. We are clearly not immune from future lightning crashes, which maybe explains why mum's the word in French financial circles. Even in the few places where we are allowed to shoot. The annual Trade Tech conference in Paris, for example. Financiers gather here and everyone's out for a bite of the tech apple. Debate revolves around the latest trends in high-tech finance. High-speed computer speculation is on everyone's minds and on the posters. But woe betide anyone who says it. Obviously, no one wants to say, yes, I'm doing high-speed frequency trading, whatever. Everyone will say, he's the villain. If tomorrow it's decided that all people who drive a red car are bad, those with red cars will hide them in the garage and use their wife's blue car instead. On stage, the three people, starting from the right, are surely red car owners. Here we have a panel of 3 companies involved in high-frequency trading. Of particular interest is Jean-Philippe Bouchot, a physicist educated at the prestigious Normal Sup College and a convert to finance. He's well known in financial circles, and at the end of the conference we approach him politely, but he's a bit elusive. We tried to contact you to see if you could explain all of this, but we were told that you didn't have time. Well, I don't have time, and we're also in a politically sensitive period to talk about this kind of thing. We heard that you were a big star in France. No. There's a big misunderstanding. It's not true at all.
c'est pas vrai du tout, on n'est pas du tout HighFrequency Trading.
What's annoying is that it's not our job, and yet we're associated with it. There's a lot of bad press right now, so it's all a bit delicate.
C'est vrai qu'il y a très mauvaise presse en ce moment, donc du coup c'est délicat.
So what is this university professor doing in the corridors of a trade tech conference? Perhaps because he's also the owner of management company CFM, Capital Fund Management. I'm quite happy to talk as a university professor, no problem. I can explain how the market works. But not so CFM is associated with high-frequency trading because it's not in high-frequency trading. Why not? But it arouses our curiosity. And the strange thing is that on the CFM website there are job ads for high-frequency trading engineers. There are also CVs of current employees of CFM who describe themselves as speed traders. And finally, the magazine Hedge Fund Journal reports that CFM deals with 100,000 contracts per day for financial products, and the company has invested in 6 data centers to improve its trading speed. In fact, CFM is one of the largest independent French hedge funds. Obviously, with all this, there are plenty of questions for Jean-Philippe Bouchot. Jean-Philippe Bouchot, you're a professor of statistical physics specializing in finance. Physics and economy is an unusual mix, don't you think? Yes and no. The links between physics and finance go back a long time, actually. And over the past 30 years, there's been so much data, the markets are spitting out so much information, that we've been able to analyze it in the same way you'd study physics. You're a professor, but also the head of CFM, which manages investment funds. Do you use high-frequency trading? No, we don't. We deal with high-frequency traders. But your company doesn't do it itself? Not at all. Right, because we visited your website and saw that you're actually advertising for high-frequency traders. There, you see, high-frequency trading. So you're hiring. Without going into detail, these aren't high-frequency traders, but we interact with high-frequency traders to execute the orders we make, so we need to understand how it all works. But you're hiring them. No, we don't do high-frequency trading. In 2009, you claimed to carry out 100,000 transactions per day, which is 4,000 an hour, more than 1 a second. And now it's every microsecond. But that's not high-frequency trading. Again, we want, just to be clear, we don't do high-frequency trading. So it's embarrassing if an investment fund admits it's involved in high-frequency trading? Not at all, but people get very confused by this. It's very technical, it's hard to explain, but we simply don't do the same work as those who are called high-frequency traders. Why is it so complicated to explain, then? It's not easy to explain to people that in a speculative activity, there's actually a real ecology. You have big fish, small fish, parasites, and symbiosis. And what are you, a big fish? I'm sure we are a big fish, but we don't lubricate the process. That's not our job. There are sharks amongst the big fish, aren't there? There are sharks amongst the big fish. You can understand why people are scared when they're told that computers now make decisions on their own without humans. It's using a computer for what it does best, and humans for what they do best. An excellent computer can perform certain tasks that humans can't do well, and the computer can do better. So you're saying that high-frequency trading is a wonderful thing? I'm saying that things are not that different from before. If the technology works well, it's important to ensure there aren't sudden brutal changes, that all goes as it was planned, and no reason to intervene as the computer can work better than humans. So when robots replace humans, you would feel reassured. In some cases, yes. Talk about high-frequency trading is always, as they say on Wall Street, touchy. In this highly competitive sector, algorithms are like gold, and the firms protect them obsessively. And what is an algorithm? Simply the sinews of the high-speed finance war. Without algorithms, the computers wouldn't know how to speculate. Paul Jorion is a finance specialist, but not as far as it comes to pets. An algorithm is a written instruction in the form of computer code in a programming language. These are orders that are given to the computer. Do this, do that, and so on. They're instructions. Instructions that look like this, lines and lines of computer code. The important thing is that these algorithms are used for robot traders to buy and sell on the stock market and to anticipate fluctuations. Extremely difficult to design, they are invaluable magic formulas, and they cost several million euros. Algos, as they're known, are the new lethal weapon of financiers. On Wall Street, they'd go to any length to get them, even theft. Witness Saturday, June the 13th, 2009, in New York. At the headquarters of Société Générale Bank, the surveillance cameras record a unique scene. A bank trader, Samath Agrawal, is in the act of stealing.
Mr. Agrawal is a young man who comes from modest circumstances and an enormously powerful brain.
Even a powerful brain can forget about the cameras. Agrawal worked for 2 years at Société Générale. He knows the company and is quite laid back about it all. And what's he doing in the office on the weekend? Ooh, not much really. Just stealing $8 million worth of algorithms from the bank. His lawyer, a leading light of the New York bar, who defended the Bonanno mafia family, is familiar with big money business. But even he has trouble defending his client.
Sam printed out, and as he's printing out, he's using the printer that is in the trading room right in front of a camera.
A few hours later, Agrawal leaves with his backpack full of valuable documents stolen from the bank. With them, he hopes to become rich. And for that, Samath Agrawal arranges a meeting in Chinatown in New York. Tower Research and Investment Fund and rivals of Société Générale. Agrawal is here for an interview. He wants to haggle the algorithms that he stole. But he's unaware that the man who's interviewing him is recording the entire conversation.
For this,
I've made lots of notes, which legally I can share with you. I have a lot of things, actually, in print. Whatever I can ask, I'm asking, and writing it. Agrawal hopes to quadruple his salary, and it works. A few months later, Tower Research takes him on for $500,000 a year, plus bonuses. But the fly in the ointment is that the Société Générale smells a rat. And when it discovers the surveillance video, it calls the FBI, who come knocking at the trader's door.
FBI agent visited Mr. Agrawal in his apartment, and he discussed the paper in his apartment, and it was clear that he'd made these printouts and he had notes, and he basically took the code because he wanted to make it easier in his new job.
Samath Agrawal receives a 3-year sentence. Banking secrecy is not to be messed with. In Europe, speed trading has been around for barely 5 years, but already makes up 1/3 of all stock trades and has caught up with the Americans. Throughout the investigation, the goal has been to film inside a room with robot traders, black boxes, and the servers of speed trading, but no French company agreed. Salvation comes from the other side of the channel, in London. The city, the financial capital of Europe. Nearly 500 banks are located here with 300,000 employees in the financial sector. London is the place to be, to do business. And it's here that Knight Capital, one of the 3 high-frequency heavyweights, has its European headquarters. This investment fund agrees to open up its doors.
How are you? Good to see you.
The CEO of Knight Capital is one of the few to have the key. The key to the room with the black boxes, the IT servers, and the famous robot traders. This is it, the holy of holies, the brain of speed trading.
This room is very important, and it's really the core of our business because all of our intellectual property sits within this room. The programs, the data, everything that we build around it sits within this room. So that's quite important that this room is secure, obviously.
Servers lined up one next to the other, connected by miles of cables. This is what high-frequency finance looks like. Cold, disembodied. Every day, millions of orders are sent to the market in milliseconds from this room with the black boxes. Billions of euros in transactions regularly circulate through these cables. The vice president of Knight Capital, a Frenchman, is keen to show us that there is still human life here. But these employees are not, in fact, traders. They are the big brains who think and try to find the winning algorithms. Algorithms, out of necessity, need to be constantly improved to maintain the performance of robot traders.
Could you tell us on what your algorithm is based?
Oh, one thing.
I don't know.
Sure.
For example.
Okay, fine. I have the perfect example. Buy low, sell high.
That's a good one.
Apple is a dark screen.
Yeah.
Is it very secret?
It depends on what you're asking. I'm sure you know all the letters that appear on that screen.
Okay, having fun, are we? But we haven't learnt much, really. We want to know how many algorithms a company is developing for its business.
Can we say how many algorithms do we have here, or?
No, just say that we have numerous strategies.
No, sorry, we're not allowed to tell you how many different strategies we have. Don't forget, this is all very confidential. Okay, I think we understood that part. You can't have 50 people having access to this kind of algorithm. It was very expensive to develop and to pay the quantitative researchers. It's a homemade and winning formula and not available to just whoever. Look at Coca-Cola. The ingredients haven't even been patented to stop them from falling in the public domain. It's the same principle. The more questions we ask, the more our presence seems to upset them.
If you don't feel confident to mention this kind of information...
The staff have been briefed before the interview.
We can't say more. To be honest, we can't say more.
Okay, that's fine.
Stop filming, please. Not the name of the strategy. We're not keen on that. I don't want them to tell us off for opening our doors too wide. Therefore, no answers. What can be said is that it's a very competitive field. But there is also a far less palatable reason. Speed trading has become a formidable fraud machine. This means a speculation inspires many crooks. Oddly enough, no one wants to talk about it on camera. But eventually someone is willing to be interviewed on condition of anonymity, of course. It's an employee of a high-frequency trading firm. For the first time, here are the secrets, as revealed by someone on the inside. And it's hardly reassuring. The meeting is recorded with a hidden camera. How are you? This young engineer has worked for a large bank in Paris for 2 years. He develops algorithms for its servers. He describes how the robots manipulate the market.
Olivier?
Well, the stock market at the moment is a battle between robots. A number of companies are sending a flood of high-frequency orders to saturate the computers in the stock market and slow the flow for all the other market participants so that they are the fastest, so that they can take advantage of the opportunities. A flood of orders to saturate the opponents. It's like driving. You want to get there before everyone else. And to hinder the others, you put one-way street signs or stoplights after you've passed through. The other cars slow down. You, however, go through to the finish line. In finance, it means sending millions of orders quickly to clog up cable traffic and slow down the other traders' computers. That's saturation. It's illegal, but there's also another fraud that's used, and that's jamming, which is to mislead investors. Jamming means sending ultra-high-speed data. It sends a command and then kills it within a millisecond. It's about hitting the bourse with orders that are rarely executed. So is jamming becoming a classic strategy in high-frequency trading? It's become that way over the past 2 years. It's now an ultra-classic method of high-frequency trading. It's playing dirty, aimed at misleading other traders and forcing them into making errors. Typical of the dirty strategies used in high-frequency trading. What's hard to believe is that the stock market police have so much difficulty in stopping them. They're simply too fast. Nevertheless, the regulators do what they can every day to stop the fraudsters. Oh yes, jamming. Here, for example, we had a succession at a rate of 1,000 messages per second. There, you see, every graduation is 5 milliseconds. 1,000 orders per second. Only computers can go so fast. Obviously, it's more difficult to detect than human traders. There it is, down a little there. This is impressive. Oh, it's difficult to understand. There's some prices that drop very low in the book. We may not be sure what they're talking about, but they seem on top of it. The trader expects a decline in the markets, but there are some aggressions expected in the log, which is really is worth a succession of disturbing impressions, actually. And we see it repeated, so it's not a coincidence of timing, say, that makes the algorithm react like that. It seems to be quite intentional. Jamming, aggression, footprint. This is no longer about finance, it's now a full-blown criminal investigation. The culprit, more often than not, is the robot. The variety of suspicious situations has increased in recent years with high-frequency trading, as high-frequency strategies can be used to perform manipulations that did not exist in the past when we were at normal speeds. Our informant confirms that nobody does without these fraudulent strategies. Without a strategy of manipulation, nobody makes money. Manipulation allows us to be competitive. As everyone does it, not to do so would be like running with a ball and chain. It's pointless. It's not worth sprinting if you're just going to attach weights to yourself. As a result of this cheating, some high-frequency traders are leading from the front. And the market police are lagging far behind, going far slower. Do you have a lot of ongoing investigations into high-frequency trading? I think we've got 2 or 3, maybe. It's technically a very difficult investigation, but also relatively long because they can be very international. The result is that the French Market Authority has virtually nothing to show for its efforts. Its only recent achievement is to have succeeded in getting a Dutch trader convicted in May 2011. Kevin Krajeveld had been rampaging on the Paris Bourse from Amsterdam. A flesh and blood trader, not a computer. But the point is, he managed his transactions amazingly quickly, in just a few seconds. And he was particularly inspired by another illegal method made widespread by the robot traders. They pretended to sell, and then they bought. Or pretended to buy and then sold. It's a bit like a bluff in poker. Here's how it works. I have 100 bicycles. On the stock market, I make a purchase order for 1,000 bicycles. Other buyers see my purchase order. They believe the price will go up, and they also begin to buy bicycles. As the demand is high, the price shoots up. The price of a bike goes from 20 to 30 euros. Then I cancel my purchase order when the price is at its highest and then sell my 100 bicycles at the highest price. So this is how the trader managed to pocket €500,000 euros. In reality, of course, bicycles were not involved. Crayeveld targeted shares of companies such as the luxury brand Hermes, the Nexans electric cable, or the Zodiac boat company. His actions had an impact on the real economy. The AMF investigation believes he distorted the rates of at least 5 French stocks. You think he manipulated the rates of 5 French stocks? Yes. Was he punished for this? No, he was sanctioned only for the value, of which a very accurate description and detailed information was produced in the report. How long did you investigate this case? Well, given the delays related to international cooperation, it took 18 months. And in the end, he was sentenced to what? A €10,000 fine for a profit on the 5 analyzed values of €585,000. He earns €585,000 illegally, and he was sentenced to a fine of €10,000? Yes. Not exactly much, is it? No, it's not, but on the other hand, the sanctions for price manipulation are quite recent. The techniques are complicated. Did you transfer the case to the Dutch Market Authority?
D'Amsterdam?
Yes. What did they do? Not much, I think. Do you think Mr. Crayeveld is still playing the markets? Probably, yes. It's time to check and go to Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Here in the 17th century, the Dutch speculated on tulips. Today, they seem to be wholeheartedly throwing themselves into the stock market. The Dutch are at the forefront of high-speed trading. At least a dozen major fast trading firms flourish on the banks of the canals. We have an appointment with a senior member of the Dutch Stock Exchange Authority. We want to know what they did with Kevin Crayeveld, the convicted trader.
Do you know Kevin Crayeveld?
Pardon?
Do you know Kevin Crayeveld?
How do you spell that name? Ah! I do not know him personally.
But you know his case?
I don't know what are you referring to? I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not going to enter into individual cases.
French regulator told us that he sent the file to you and you did nothing.
I do not discuss any individual cases.
And they are disappointed about that.
But I do not comment on individual cases. All right.
And that's all he will say on the matter. It'll be up to us to find the trader. We decide to go visit his trading room, bringing a hidden camera.
Hello?
Yes, hello, good morning. I would like to know if Mr. Kevin Crayeveld is around.
Yes, yes. Yes, he's here. You can come in.
The French investigator was right. At the end of the hallway, Kevin Krajewelt is still trading, despite his conviction for fraud. But he plays the victim card.
The case was full of stupid stuff from their side, and it had nothing to do with reality. So they had no clue what we're talking about. High-frequency trading is a pile of computers, and not a trader behind a screen.
But as a trader, he did make a packet by manipulating the rates.
And we dealt with it, and it ended up all right. So that's it. But this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. But again, I don't see my advantage in talking to the press. So clear?
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Okay, have a good journey. Bye-bye.
The €10,000 fine has obviously not put Krajewelt off pursuing his career. The authorities that monitor the markets don't seem to scare the pirates of finance. And officially, of course, the speculators play the innocents. Such as this financier with a perfect tan, the president of the European High-Frequency Traders Lobby.
Rock the basement. We are more transparent than any other industry in the world.
Is he joking? Apparently not.
There is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that high-frequency trading is subject to more market abuse than other activities in the financial industry. None whatsoever.
No, there are no evidence.
No.
But maybe because it's very more difficult
because it is,
to investigate.
No, everything we do is transparent. A regulator could come in and ask us for all our records, and they can see. So it's very easy for them to spot if we are abusing the market.
And that's the official version. Now, how about the version without the hot air? The truth emerges when the camera is hidden. No one's scared of the monitors. The AMF's wasting its time. Investing money in computers, storing all that information just to get those pathetic results. Well, why bother? In other words, the cops will never catch up with the bad guys unless they use the same weapons. High-frequency trading certainly seems to upset a lot of people. But how can their actions be limited? Surely more stringent laws are needed. What does the professor who thinks speed trading is so wonderful think of this? Shouldn't these sort of practices be stopped? Saying we don't have the means to control it and that anyone can just grab them like that? Maybe there should be a moratorium, perhaps for 2 years, so that it really sinks in. Yes, I think in such cases the simple answers aren't necessarily the right ones. So what are the right ones? Slowing the markets might have even worse effects than what we're trying to juggle with here. One has to be careful that the cure isn't worse than the illness. Right now, it could lead to distortions that are worse if we're not careful. We need to understand how the markets work, so as not to slow up the markets, nothing should be done. In France, it can't be said legislators are exactly rushing to regulate high-frequency trading. In November 2011, the Senate approved legislation to tax financial transactions at a rate of 0.1% to make them less profitable. But the National Assembly, then under the control of the centre-right UMP party, adjusted the bill. And then the same UMP party, during the presidential election campaign in February 2012, finally introduced a law in which speed traders would pay tax on their transactions of 0.01%, a virtually symbolic amount. And then in May, another twist. François Hollande, the socialist, was elected president. Now in power, the socialists will likely take the bull by the horns. After all, finance is opposed to François Hollande, isn't it? The headline says, "My enemy is the world of finance." Come on, don't string us along here. The time it takes for political decisions to be made is just a bit longer than high-frequency trading, where everything's calculated in microseconds. So let's get going. But in the meantime, by the time a law does exist that will cool the ardor of the machines, and of their programmers too, there won't be any humans left on the floor of the stock exchanges. And let's hope no flash crash will have destroyed the stock markets by then either.